The year was 1987. Boston was still a basketball kingdom. Larry Bird was its ruler, a three-time MVP, Finals MVP, and the unshakable face of the Celtics. He was everything the league wanted, fundamentally sound, ice-cold under pressure, and deadly from anywhere on the court. But over in Detroit, something was brewing. The Pistons weren't just another playoff team, they were younger, meaner, hungrier. And more than anything, they were tired of watching Larry Bird get praised like a basketball god. Enter Dennis Rodman, a rookie from southeastern Oklahoma State. Undersized, scrappy, relentless, and completely unimpressed with the legend in green and white. After a hard-fought game in the Eastern Conference Finals, Rodman didn't hold back when asked about Bird. He's not that special, he's overrated. If he was black, he'd just be another guy. It wasn't just trash talk. It was a line that cut deep, across race, legacy, and basketball politics. The NBA wasn't ready, the media wasn't ready, but Larry Bird, he didn't blink. No press release, no fiery response, no need to defend his greatness. He heard the noise and let it simmer, because Larry Bird knew something Rodman didn't. Basketball isn't won with words, it's won with moments, and that moment was coming. Rodman's words didn't just stir controversy, they tapped into something far deeper. In the late 1980s, the NBA was changing. It was becoming younger, louder, and more culturally expressive. Black players were finally becoming the faces of the league, and yet the media still clung to Larry Bird as its centerpiece. To many fans, Bird was untouchable. To others, he was a symbol of privilege in a game dominated by black excellence. So when Rodman made his comment saying Bird's reputation was inflated because of his skin color, it wasn't just seen as a rookie mouthing off, it was a shot at the system, at how media narratives were shaped, at how greatness was perceived and who was allowed to wear the crown. And Rodman wasn't alone. Isaiah Thomas, the leader of the Pistons and one of the most brilliant point guards the game had ever seen, co-signed the message. If Larry Bird was black, he'd just be another good guy. The quote echoed everywhere. Radio, newspapers, locker rooms, it created a firestorm. Accusations, defenses, editorials. Suddenly, the Eastern Conference Finals weren't just about basketball, they were about identity, about recognition, about truth. The tension wasn't only between the Celtics and the Pistons, it was between two ways of thinking, two Americas, two perspectives on what greatness really looked like. Magic Johnson, perhaps the only player who could stand shoulder to shoulder with both Bird and Isaiah, stepped in. No, Larry's great because of how he plays, not because of who he is. But through all of it, Bird stayed silent. No interviews, no rebuttals, no emotional statements. He didn't chase narratives. He chose not to fuel the media machine. Because while the world debated, Bird was watching film, lacing up, and waiting. If you're hooked so far, consider subscribing. We break down the forgotten moments and hidden stories that shaped the NBA, just like this one. Now, back to Game 5, because what Larry Bird did next, that changed everything. May 26, 1987, Boston Garden, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pistons had stolen Game 4, tying the series 2-2. Momentum was shifting. Bird's Celtics were aging, bruised. Detroit, young and fearless, led by Isaiah, Dumars, Laimbeer, and the ever-intense Rodman. This wasn't just a playoff series anymore, it was a statement of war. Detroit wanted to end the Celtics dynasty. And Boston? They weren't ready to die. The game was brutal, hard fouls, trash talk, elbows flying in the paint. Every possession felt like a street fight in sneakers. With just seconds left on the clock, Boston trailed 107-106. Piston balls, no timeouts. Just one clean inbound and they'd leave Boston with a 3-2 series lead. Isaiah Thomas took the ball, calm, collected. He looked for Laimbeer, near the baseline, the safest outlet. But from the weak side, Larry Bird saw it coming. Bird broke from his man, anticipated the path, darted in, snatched it. One clean swipe, crowd erupts. But he's falling out of bounds, off balance, no angle, no time, and somehow, Bird whips a blind pass to Dennis Johnson cutting toward the hoop. Layup, backboard, bucket. Celtics 108, Pistons 107. Game. The Garden explodes, bodies crash into each other, Detroit is stunned. Bird doesn't celebrate, he just clenches his fist and walks back to the bench. He had just delivered a death blow, without a word. This wasn't just a steal. It was retribution. Poetic, precise, and devastating. No interview could have answered Rodman louder. No quote could have silenced Isaiah deeper. That single play told the whole story. Larry Bird didn't need the spotlight. He was the spotlight. Larry Bird didn't look like your typical NBA superstar. No vertical, no handles to dazzle crowds. He moved like someone with a sore back, because truthfully, he often did have a sore back. But that was the trap. If you judged him by the eye test, you were already cooked, because Larry Bird didn't beat you with speed. He beat you with certainty. He saw the game 2 seconds before you did. He processed angles, tendencies, spacing in real time. To him, basketball wasn't just a contest of athleticism. It was chess, and he was always 3 moves ahead. You think he was slow? He'd make you slow down. You think he couldn't jump? He'd box you out and tip it in anyway. Bird's strength wasn't measured in highlight reels. It was in how he manipulated the floor, how he turned every possession into a puzzle and made you the clueless one trying to solve it. He could beat you going left, right, fading, falling, talking trash while doing it. And oh, the trash talk. I'm gonna hit a 3 in your face and walk straight to the bench. He said it, then did it. All net, walk off. This wasn't cockiness, it was control. Bird never played above the rim. He played above the moment. Rodman didn't see it then, most didn't, until it was too late. Bird didn't need to respond to being called overrated. He had a body of work that already answered. 3 MVPs, 3 championships, 12 All-Star selections, clutch performances stacked like trophies. But what made Bird terrifying wasn't just the stats. It was that he always showed up when it mattered most. The Game 5 steal? It wasn't luck, it was instinct, it was film study, it was preparation meeting pressure and winning. To the media, Bird was a storybook hero. To opponents, he was a nightmare in slow motion. To the game of basketball, he was something even rarer. A player who never blinked, never flinched, and never needed to explain himself. Because when it came down to the final seconds, Larry Bird didn't talk, he took. Game 5 didn't end the series, but it defined it. Boston would go on to win 7, advancing to the finals one last time during the Bird era. And that steal, that pass, that moment, it didn't just flip the scoreboard, it flipped the narrative. Rodman, once defiant, started walking it back. The fire of youth had cooled. The spotlight was heavier than expected. I didn't know what I was doing. I was young, immature. Larry was something else. Rodman had made a career of rattling cages, but he wasn't stupid. He knew what he saw that night, and deep down, he respected it. Even Isaiah Thomas, whose comments stirred even greater backlash, eventually changed course. Years later on national television, he addressed Bird directly. I was wrong, you were great, you are great. I was emotional, I shouldn't have said it. And Bird, still no comment. Not out of arrogance, but because for him, this was never personal. It was basketball. And he had already said everything he needed to, in the language he spoke best, the game. Fast forward to 1992, Barcelona, the dream team, the greatest roster ever assembled. And there, on the same bench, Bird and Isaiah. Or rather, not. Isaiah was left off the team. Speculated reasons? Many. Locker room politics, Magic's influence, Jordan's demands. But some say that rift from the 80s, that disrespect toward Bird, it never truly healed in the eyes of his peers. Bird didn't demand revenge, he didn't ask for anyone to be punished. But in NBA circles, respect travels, and disrespect, it lingers. Rodman would later call Larry the smartest player he ever faced. Isaiah would admit Bird's greatness publicly. And the fans, they never forgot. That Game 5 steal became a monument, replayed in montages, immortalized in NBA lore, not because it was flashy, but because it was definitive. It proved what Bird already knew. You don't win arguments with microphones. You win them with moments. Decades have passed since that fateful night in Boston. Players have come and gone. The NBA has evolved, faster, flashier, louder. But some moments, they don't age. They become timeless. Larry Bird's steal in Game 5 wasn't just a highlight, it was a message. A message to Dennis Rodman, to Isaiah Thomas, to every player, pundit, and fan who thought his greatness came with an asterisk. He didn't argue, he didn't post cryptic tweets, he didn't look for the camera. He just took the moment and owned it. In today's NBA, legacies are built on brand deals, viral clips, social media battles, but Bird, he came from a different era. One where you earned your name every night, where you didn't need to sell your greatness, you showed it. And that's why this moment still matters. Because it reminds us of something the game sometimes forgets. That basketball, at its core, is about delivering when it counts. Not talking about it, not tweeting about it, doing it. Rodman called him overrated, so Bird responded. The only way legends do. Not with fury, not with revenge, but with a perfectly timed cut, an instinctive steal, and a pass that saved a season. No trash talk, no drama, just execution. Because when the noise fades and the headlines disappear, the only thing that survives is the game. And in the game, Larry Bird was never overrated. He was undeniable.